Welcome back to The Fit Effect, the missing piece to your prosperity. If you missed last week's episode, I guess the last episode I did was probably a couple weeks ago now, talking about the rebrand, basically the refocus, why I just resurrected this old podcast called Bald Business, The Naked Truth in Entrepreneurship. You can go back and check that out. But today, we're going to be talking about goals and basically how important are goals to not just health and fitness, business, but in life. And what types of goals are there? There's two types of goals that I'm really going to focus on today. But before we get into that, I just really want to, I guess, share a thought of encouragement around the idea of goals. I think a lot of times in the culture that we live in right now, in the society that most of us exist in, depending on what part of the world you're in, everything seems to get more and more and more divisive. It seems to get more and more and more almost like far fetched to dream and to think of what's possible and what outcomes we would like to have and what we really truly desire to see come to fruition in our lifetime. And I think that I would just encourage you to stay the course on your dreams, on your goals, on your vision, because ultimately everything that comes about that is good, that is helpful, that is worthy of your time is generally based in a dream of a new reality, a dream of a new opportunity, a dream of a new experience, per se. And so, as we get into this today, there may be a moment or two where you're like, oh gosh, I can't focus right now because I just feel like that my brain is everywhere, my attention is everywhere, and I don't know who to trust, and I don't know where to turn. But ultimately, you can trust your gut generally if you're aligned with yourself and you know who you are and what you believe. But you can also learn to trust those around you who have a similar dream, similar goal, similar vision. And the only way that you get to know that is by sharing yours. So, we're going to start by just talking about the two different types of goals. There's vision goals and then there's action goals. Now, vision goals are like the things that we imagine, right? So, like in 3 years, I want to be here. In 5 years, I want to have this type of house. In 10 years, I want to have X number of children or a spouse or whatever it may be. Those are vision goals. And then you have action goals, which is this is what I can do to move closer to the vision or move toward the vision. A lot of times I feel like that we get so wrapped up in our dream and our vision that we don't take any steps. And I know I've done this because it seems like the vision of the dream is so far away. It's like, oh yeah, that's 10 years from now. Why does that matter? And something that I learned a few years ago, and I guess really it was a reoccurring theme that just kept popping up. But I worked with Jesse Elder, a coach, for a while. Um, Absolutely recommend him as a coach if you're looking. But he talked a lot about the idea that we delay our own success because we believe it's so far into the future. Now, I do think that it's important to have a vision that is in the future because for most people, if you don't dream of a different reality or you don't think of an ideal scenario that you would like to be in, you're probably not going to move toward it. It's hard enough to take steps and take action as it is, let alone if you don't have anything you're really shooting for. The person who has no goals obviously misses them every time. The person that has goals will hit them usually 50% of the time. So it's not like we should put our, I don't know, I don't want to say that the vision is not important. But what's absolutely most important is having a vision that you can see yourself stepping toward, moving in the direction of. So there's vision goals and there's action goals. Uh, Vision is kind of like long term. It's like kind of in the future. It doesn't have to be so far into the future that it seems unreasonable or like, oh, I've got plenty of time. I'm not going to work on that. But it also needs to be somewhere that's not today, because obviously you're not there today. So it's got to be more into the future. Whereas a short-term goal could be something that you could do today. It could be something that you accomplish today. So let's talk about vision goals, action goals, and then we're going to get into three things, which is going to be mindset, belief, and action, and how all of those, or how those three things play into your vision and your action goals, like taking action, actually moving forward, right? So, you know, we kind of talked about this idea for a second of a vision goal. And I want to encourage you, because I was working with a client last week and they said, well, I don't even really know what I want my vision to be. And this happened to specifically be in a business. And so I said, well, we can go through a couple questions, right? Like, what do you want people to experience? Um, and this doesn't have to be with a business, that can be with you. Like, what do you want people to think of when they see you, or when they think of you, or you cross their mind? Like, what kind of person do you want to be? That is also a vision. Who I want to become is a vision, right? And so if you have a business like this person did, you could put a part of you. I mean, really, a part of you is the business, right? Because you are the one growing this thing. And so they were kind of stuck in this idea of like, well, I don't really know what I want my vision to be. But when we dove into it and we started talking about it, they knew exactly what they wanted their vision to be. They just didn't realize that the vision that they were trying to create for their life could be transferred straight into a business, or the business that they had. So your vision ultimately is your ideal life, your ideal scenario. A lot of people will say, write out your ideal day. That would be a vision. Unless your ideal day is a day that you're already doing, well, then you're living your vision right now. Maybe I would challenge you to expand your vision, or to expand your vision in another area. A lot of times we get stuck in this idea of like, goals are just for health, or just for business, or just for whatever, relationships. But no, they can be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. They can be very specific. They can be sports related. They can be very specific to a part of your business. They can be very specific to um, if, let's just say you wanted to start a small group. You want to start getting a small group of people together every month or every 6 weeks just to do like a mastermind. That in and of itself can be a vision, just in one area of your life. A vision doesn't have to necessarily be the totality of your life. A vision just needs to be in the area in which you want to see change. And so here at the Fit Effect, the missing piece to your prosperity, the idea of creating a vision ultimately is like, hey, I know I'm at a place. This is not the ideal place that I want to be. So what is it that I need to do to get to the ideal place that I want to be? Whether it's in my health, in my business, in my life. All right. Now, action goals. Action goals are very, they're just that. They're action based. It's an action goal is a thing that you can control. All right. A vision goal isn't something necessarily that you can control, meaning you can take steps toward your vision. And a lot of times I tell people, I say, look, with a vision, all we're trying to do is get a direction in which we are aiming your steps, or aiming the cannon, so that we can start moving in that direction. We can start launching those cannonballs in that direction. We don't necessarily know if that's how it's going to be exactly, but we need a direction, right? Whereas an action goal is a specific thing, a very specific step, task, item that you can complete, that you can kind of check off of a list, that you can see that you accomplished, and then you can measure whether or not it helped you get closer to the vision, whether or not it moved you closer to what your ideal is. Now, it's interesting because another client that I was working with, they kind of hit this spot where they're like, oh man, I don't really feel like that I'm moving toward my vision. And I said, well, How many things have you eliminated from the stack of things that you thought were going to be the next step to the vision? And they said, oh, probably 10. Okay, well, if you've eliminated 10 things that you know are not going to move you closer to your vision, and you've actually moved them out of your way and off of your plate, then that is progress. That is growth. That is stepping forward toward your vision. It just doesn't feel like it because right now you're in the elimination phase instead of the addition phase. Okay, so an action goal is just very specific. It's something that you can tell yourself, all right, this week, let's use health for an example. We'll use two examples. We'll do a health example, and then we'll do a business example. So health example would be, my ideal scenario is I'm going to lose 30 pounds this year. Okay, well, what's something that I can do that I know helps increase the amount of body fat that my body burns or weight loss? It's more steps. How many steps do you get right now? I get 7,000 steps a day. We got to get to 10,000 steps a day. Did you or did you not do 10,000 steps for the last 7 days? That is an action based goal. That is very measurable. It's very specific. It's very trackable. And you can tell yourself, like, yes, I did, or no, I didn't. And you can then have a conversation with yourself and basically then ask yourself, how important is this vision to me right now, today? That's a whole other thing we can kind of get into. Sometimes we get wrapped up in our feelings and how something feels versus what we know we really want. And then we hold ourselves back, but that's a side note. I think jumping over to the business example would be, I would like to see 3 more clients by the end of the month. Okay. All right. Well, how many people do you have to talk to get to 3 more clients? So I got to talk to 30. Okay. So in week 1 of the month, did you talk to whatever 30 divided by 4 is? Roughly 7, 6 or 7. Did you talk to 6.5 people this week? Yes or no? Okay. Very traceable, very action based, very, um, how do I say, it's very focused on whether or not you did the work. And this is why I really like action based goals as the ones that we focus on. I think that having a vision is important. I think it's also fun. I think it's energizing. I think that there is a fun energy about creating a vision and writing it down and looking at it on paper. But ultimately, action based goals are my favorite because I can track whether or not I did it. Did I do it? Yes or no? No, I didn't. Shoot. Okay, well, do I care about this vision? Yeah, yes or no? So action-based goals, in my opinion, are a little bit more important, but you also have to break down your action-based goals based on what you feel like is you are capable of, right? Like let's take the business example, the person who wants 3 more clients. Maybe they go out and they talk to 30 people in week 1. Okay, well, they probably ideally would or should adjust the number of people they want to be working with by the end of the month. But it's way better than going out and talking to 0. So you have to decide for yourself, what type of person are you? Are you the type of person that's going to go out and be a go-getter and overdo it and ultimately probably see your success quicker? Or are you the type of person that's going to procrastinate a little bit and drag your feet and really just want to talk about it, want to think about it, but not necessarily be about it, you know? So vision goals, action goals. And there are 3 major things that ultimately control whether or not these things come to fruition. Whether or not we create that vision, whether or not we take the step to creating those action goals. And the first one is mindset. Mindset is so important. And, several years ago, I had a podcast, we talked specifically about mindset and how, a lot of people tend to think that mindset is just something you have or you don't have. You either think that you can or you think that you can't. And I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe that's true for many reasons. One of them being I have coached hundreds of people, and I have coached probably 30 or 40 people in the professional realm of professional improvement. And understanding the way that you think about the opportunity that's ahead of you completely changes the game on what steps you will or will not take. And so sometimes you got to take a step back and ask yourself, am I thinking the way that I need to be thinking to reach this goal? If you have a goal and you automatically think, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to reach that, but I would love to, so I'm going to set that as a goal. You're not going to reach the goal. You've got to have a mindset of belief. And belief is the second word that we're going to talk about. Belief is what everything hinges on. If you believe that you can, probably will. If you believe that you can't, you definitely won't. If you believe that you will, you might be able to. If you believe that you can't, you definitely won't. All right? So first you have your mindset. Like, how do I think? Do I think more negative? Do I think more positive? And then you have belief. Do I even believe the things that I'm saying, the things that I'm doing? Do I even believe in the possibility of what I desire? It's interesting. I've spent the last couple years, off and on over much of my life, but the last couple years intensely studying the Bible and other historical texts. And it's funny because so much of what is in there is based on belief. Did you believe it could happen? Yes or no? If you did, it probably did. If you didn't, it likely didn't. Now, there are examples of where people ask for their belief to be challenged. They ask for their unbelief to be proven wrong. But did you believe? So your goals, the vision, the thing that you're setting for your life, maybe you're in a position where you're like, hey, I really need to lose 50, 60, 70 pounds. Doctor says that I'm not going to have a great life if I don't get this weight off. But I just don't think I can. You've got to find within yourself the thing that's going to help you believe that you are absolutely worthy, and it's also absolutely possible. And you are the person that it's possible to happen to or happen with. Because that's the thing, right? Is a lot of times we think, oh, all these things are happening to me. Almost always things are happening for us. Because when things happen for us, we can grow, we can improve, we can change, we can expand. And when we do those things, ultimately, we become winners. Ultimately, we become people who pick ourselves up and move forward, take that next step. But if we get stuck in that mindset of negativity, that mindset of, oh, I just can't, I just won't, it never work out for me, then our belief will be affected. And we won't believe. And that leads us to our third word, which is action. Everything hinges on mindset, which goes to belief, which then belief determines what actions we're going to take. If you think for a second that you can be so negative and just don't think that it's ever even going to happen, and then take action every single day on that thing, I mean, if you do, you're probably a stronger person than me. But the reality is you probably won't, because you don't even believe that it will. You don't even believe that it's worth your time. You don't believe that it's possible. And so you won't take the action. Whereas if you do believe and you have a positive mindset, and you're like, no matter what happens, I'm going to do this thing. No matter what happens, I'm going to stay in alignment. No matter what happens, I'm going to continue to try to be the best that I can be so I can live the life that I want to live. If you do that, the odds of you taking the action needed to see the success that you desire goes way up. So I just want you to think about today. Think about your vision for a second. And if you don't have one, maybe take a few moments and create one. But think about your vision. And then ask yourself, when was the last time that I took an action-based goal, created an action-based goal for this vision? And based on that action-based goal, what did I think about it? Did I think positive? Did I think negative? Did I think, oh yeah, I can absolutely do this? Or did I think, gosh, this can be so hard? And then what did I believe? Did I believe that I would, or did I believe that I wouldn't? Did I believe that if I took the step, it would help me, or did I believe that no matter what I did, it wouldn't matter? And then, did I actually do it? Once I did it, did I track it? Did I see what happened or what didn't happen? A lot of times, I talk to clients a lot about the idea of micro progress. Just all we're looking for is very incremental shifts, very incremental improvements, very incremental changes. Because sure, you might not step on the scale and lose 30 pounds. You may not, do 2 great sales calls and all of a sudden, be doing $50,000 a month. But incrementally, did we improve drastically this week, this month, this quarter than we did last week, last month, last quarter? Incremental improvements over time always lead to long-term victory. Incremental improvements over time always lead to long-term victory. So I want to challenge you today. There's nothing wrong with having huge goals. But really focus on your small, short-term, action-based goals, the things that you can control, the things that you can do something about. Pick up the phone, get on the treadmill, have that sales conversation, hit those weights, have that hard conversation with your spouse. Sit down with your kids and make a plan for the family to live the life that you guys desire. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you are doing well. If you need anything, you can reach out to me at michael@thefiteffect.com. You can also find me on all social media platforms at The Fit Effect or at Michael B. Life. Vision goals, action goals, mindset, belief, action. Where are you in the process? And what are you doing to fix it, to improve it, to change it, to expand it? This has been another episode of The Fit Effect, the missing piece to your prosperity. Talk to you soon.